Tales of the World, published in the USA 1985 by Exeter Books, distributed by Book Thrift. Exeter is a trademark of Simon & Schuster, Inc. In New York, New York, all rights reserved. The Two Brothers. Once upon a time, there was a poor man who had two sons. The man was very poor indeed, and as the boys grew up and their appetites increased, he found it more and more difficult to support them. Eventually, he had to say to his sons, "My sons, you are grown up now, and as I have no way of supporting you, you must go out into the world and fend for yourselves." So saying, he gave each of them 12 chunks of bread the size of a fist and a piece of meat. The boys set out, and when they first gone a short way, the elder said, "Come, let's rest a while and have a bite to eat. First, we'll eat your food, and then mine. You are smaller and weaker than I am, and would soon be tired if you had to carry all that food." So they ate from the younger brother's bundle, and after a few days they had eaten all his bread and meat. When the next became hungry, the younger brother turned to the older and said, "Give me some of your bread and meat. We've eaten all of mine now." "Not on your life. I won't give you a thing," replied the older brother. "But you promised we'd both eat your food after we'd eaten mine," the younger brother protested. "What I said stands," said the older brother curtly. "I'll give you something to eat, but you will have to suffer for it. It will cost you the sight of one of your eyes." The younger brother gasped. He cried and pleaded with his brother to be reasonable, but all was in vain. In the end, he said, "All right then, do what you want. I am weak with hunger." So the elder brother took a handful of the dust and grit on the path and threw it in his brother's eye. The boy screamed with agony as the grit scratched his eye and damaged it so badly that he could no longer see out of it. Then the elder brother gave him a piece of bread, and the two continued on their way. The younger brother kept moaning, for the wound pained him and he was still hungry. The piece of bread he'd received had done little to satisfy his hunger. When his brother stopped and sat down for a meal, he couldn't stand it any longer. "Please, brother, give me something to eat from your bundle," he begged. "You gave me only a small piece of bread, and I am still hungry." "I'll let you have something to eat, but only if you will let me do the same to your other eye," replied the cruel brother. What could the younger boy do? No matter how much he begged and pleaded, the elder brother remained adamant. In the end, he decided it was better to be blind than to die of hunger. "All right then, blind me in my other eye too," he said. At that, the elder brother threw grit into his brother's other eye, so he could not see at all. He felt no pity for the younger boy, who was writhing on the ground in pain. He just packed his meat and bread without even giving him a bite as he had promised and set off without him. The younger brother called after him and begged him not to leave him alone in the woods, where he was sure to die of hunger or be devoured by some wild beast. But his brother went off without even a parting glance. Presently, as two women passed nearby, they heard strange moans and sighs. They found the blind boy where his brother had left him and asked why he was crying. You'd cry too if your own brother had blinded you so that he wouldn't have to give you anything to eat and then abandon you in the woods, he sobbed. Don't cry, the two women consoled him. We'll give you something that will make you see again. They went to the edge of the woods and picked a plant growing there, squeezed the juice from it, and spread it into the boy's eyes. But his eyes began to hurt even more than before. The pain became so great that he fainted. When he came around a few minutes later, his eyes no longer hurt, and he was able to see as well as before. His gratitude knew no bounds, and he thanked the two women from the bottom of his heart. Before taking their leave, the women gave him one more piece of advice. Follow this path till you come to the village where a rich and powerful king lives. He, too, is blind. Go to him and restore his sight with this plant. You will be rewarded. The boy thanked them once again and set out for the village. When he came to the king's house, he said to the guards, I wish to see the master of this house. But the guards wouldn't let him pass. They told him, You're still too young and not yet worthy of seeing our master. The boy, however, wouldn't be put off. I have a remedy that will make him well, he said. Then come in, said the guards. He had barely stepped inside when they seized him and beat him until he no longer had the strength to get up from the ground. The queen happened to walk by just then and, seeing the boy on the ground, asked, Why are you beating this boy? Before they could reply, the boy cried, I want to have been taken to the king because I have a remedy for his blindness. Then, take him to the king immediately, ordered the queen. So the guards took the boy before the king after all. I came here to cure your blindness, your majesty, said the boy, bowing low. The king was quite surprised at these words, for he had been blind for the past 30 years and had given up hope long ago that he would ever see again. Though doubtful that the boy could fulfill his promise, he decided there was no harm in trying. The boy told the guards to spread a rug on the floor and lay the king upon it. Then he took several leaves from the miraculous plant, squeezed out the juice, and put some in one of the king's eyes. The king cried out in pain, and the guards immediately seized the boy and began beating him again. Soon, however, the pain passed, and the king was able to see with one eye. The first thing that met his gaze was the guards beating the boy, and he cried out, Stop that right away! Whoever lay a hand on that boy will have his head cut off. Then the boy put some of the juice into the king's other eye, and the king again cried out in pain. Once more, the guards knocked the boy down, and they began beating him even harder than before. They would have beaten him to death if the king hadn't opened his eye and seen, with both of them, what was going on. Why are you beating that boy? He has restored my eyesight. Didn't I say no one must lay a hand on him? He shouted. We thought he was killing you, your majesty, said the guards. That's not true. You knew very well that he wanted to restore my sight. But you preferred a blind king who couldn't see what you were up to. So, as I said, off with your heads. When the guards had been taken away, the king thanked the boy and gave him 2 ships, 2 boats, 2 furnished houses, 30 cupboards full of clothes, 4 horses, and a magnificent royal throne. He also gave him his daughter's hand in marriage and 1/2 of his kingdom. His daughter received a dowry 240 gold pieces, a house, 5 horses, 2 servants, and 5 wardrobes full of dresses. The boy was also given 5 servants to tend the ships. Then they all boarded one of the ships to go for a trip on the sea. As they went up the gangway, who should the royal son-in-law see on the shore but his brother? He was dressed in rags and was carrying heavy bundles on his back into the ship's hold. He gazed at the royal company with envy, but did not recognize his younger brother.